Welcome to Land of the Bible. I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. And in today's episode, we are going to explore Timna Park. Timna Park is run by the Jewish National Fund and is located in the southern region of the Arava Valley and just north of Eilat. It consists of some of the most beautiful geological wonders anywhere in Israel, formed over the course of millions of years due to the Syrian-African rift and erosion of wind and water. There's also an incredible amount of archaeology here, some of it dating back 5,000 years ago to the Chalcolithic period, throughout the Bronze period, and even the early Israelite period to the time of King Solomon. There's also some incredible activities here that can be enjoyed by families of various ages. So join me now as we explore Timna Park. We're now joined by Ron Harari, who's one of the guides here at Timna Park. Ron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for coming. Welcome to Timna.
Well, we really appreciate being here because it is so beautiful. Just driving here from the entrance to the national park to come see you, it's amazing. The formations, the color. How is this incredible natural phenomenon formed?
Okay, when you're coming to Timna Valley, you're coming to the Arava Valley, you're coming to the Syrian-African Rift Valley, that is actually the Red Sea, the Sea of the Galilee, the Dead Sea, and the valleys into Lebanon. 6,000 kilometers of Rift Valley, and we are at the side of this Rift Valley.
Wow, that is incredible. But how is this formed from the Arava Valley? I mean, I get that this is the largest fault line, but not all of the fault line looks this incredible.
Now here we have a lot of shifting. There's a lot of side fault and rocks pushed out, exposed as rocks even from the time of Genesis. We have here the granite rock, and we have the sandstone, we have the limestone, and we have actually nearly all type of rocks here in this valley.
And I also see a lot of interesting formations, what looks like sandstone. Can you tell us about some of them?
Sure, there is a lot of beautiful formation. One of them you can see, it's right here. It's the mushroom. You can pass and see the spiral, the arches, but above all of them, I think it's the Solomon pillars.
Yeah? So should we check out that formation?
Sure, let's go.
All right, fantastic. And so this was formed just with wind and
water. It's two different types of rocks. One is softer and one is harder. They look exactly the same, but it's two different layers of red sandstone.
wow, these pillars are magnificent. What incredible formations. What caused it?
Okay, these pillars that we can see here, if you look all around you, they're full of cracks. This area was suffer from high pressure. The rocks cracked, and when it's raining, not a lot in the desert, but when it's raining, the water penetrates to this crack, and in the crack, slowly the erosion is working, and the crack is open, and another crack is open, and leave us in between the cracks. the pillar formation.
Wow, that's amazing. And what about some of the other formations that we can find here in Timna?
Okay, other formation will form also from water, but sometimes it can be combined with a little bit of salt. We have a lot of salt that's sticking on the rock. Nighttime when humidity is rising, the salt is absorb the water, the humidity, and then start a small and very slowly chemical erosion that the contact of the grain of the quartz sand is just falling and creates us like a little windows, as you can see. By the way, it's called tafuni.
And this tafuni that we see, that's that formation that literally looks like melting wax.
Exactly, yes.
Beautiful sandstone. And where did that sandstone get its red color from?
The red color will be from iron oxide, actually. We have to remember, we're talking of river sediments hundreds of millions of years ago. The rivers brought with them the sand depositing on the top of each other. That's why we see it a layer. And sometimes the rivers will bring iron mineral.
Amazing. And I also see all of these layers on the rocks over there.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when we're hiking through the canyons, we can see smaller layers. Is that also from erosion?
The layers form from depositing. We talked about the rivers, and now we're reminding you that there was a sea cover in this area. 120 million years ago, this area was covered with the sea.
Really?
And the sea got his own sediment, and then we can find the layers of limestone, dolomite, flint, chalk, name it. And if it was the sea, of course, we can find a fossil. We can find fossils of coral, fossils of shells, fossils of sea urchin, and even you can find fossils of shark's teeth.
Wow, that's incredible. And so you mentioned that there's minerals that have been found here. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Oh, there's a lot of minerals. Timna actually is full of minerals. These rivers brought with them not just sand, also different minerals. It mainly comes with the iron, and then we see the red sandstone, but it also can bring with us a little bit of copper, and then we find a little bit of copper, and that's the story here in Timna.
Wow, that's incredible. Let's go learn more about that.
That's right.
Okay, let's check it out.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
Ron, you mentioned that there's copper located here in Timna Park. But how did ancient man know that it existed here?
The ancient man didn't know that he have copper. The ancient man knew about these green stones. They use it as a jewelry. We find them in the archaeological excavation. We find it at tombs, and that's what they used it in the past. The area was covered exactly like the stone. You see the green stones?
Absolutely.
This is actually the type what they look for. Smaller, with more concentration. They use it as a jewelry. They never use it for metal because they didn't know what is a metal. Only later on, they found out that they can use it as a copper metal.
Amazing. So ancient man is walking here in Timna and they discover this beautiful green stone. And they use it as jewelry, but they have no idea if you melt it, it turns to copper. How did they discover this?
Let me tell you a story. When I was young, we used to hike here in the desert. We used to see this green stone exactly like the ancient person saw them. We were playing with this, we put it in a pocket. At nighttime, when we used to make the bonfire, we used to throw it to the bonfire. It turns a flame a little bit. So that's attract my eyes. And then we throw another stones and another one. It's just a game. But in the morning, when you're looking inside the bonfire, you see that these stones change a little bit the formation, which means, as I understand that they change formation, probably in the old time, they also understand that that's something new. And it's better maybe to heat it up on a higher temperature, that it will change to something different.
Wow, that's amazing. So literally what was just a small game of throwing this green stone into the fire and watching it change colors turned into the early version of smelting copper ore. So tell me, how far would they need to, or how deep would they need to dig into the earth to find these copper veins?
So at the beginning, they didn't have to dig at all. They just have to collect all the stones from the surface of the ground. And only later on, they have to go deep and dig inside to the ground.
So are these some of those ancient shafts that we're seeing back here?
Exactly, David. This is the oldest mines in the world.
These right here are the oldest copper mines in the world.
Exactly.
The Copper Age begins right here in Timna.
6,000 years ago, David.
That is awesome. So are any of these accessible?
That's right, yeah, some of them.
Great, can we go down into
Yeah,
one?
sure, let's go.
All right,
Let me take you.
I'll follow you. Wow, this is incredible. It's so beautiful here.
Yeah.
This is great. So all of this stone that we're seeing here is sandstone, but is there copper ore there as well?
The copper ore we find only in the white sandstone. Sandstones, there's a few of them with colors, and the white one. In the white sandstones, we find the copper ore.
So only further down below here where you see the white,
That's
but
right.
not up there where you see the red.
No, there is another layer, but that will be with much less copper, never used in the ancient time.
Ah, interesting. Wow, this is amazing, Ron. What a complex system of tunnels and caves. But what exactly were they looking for? How could they tell that they found the copper?
Okay, David, you see, we came into under the ground, and we can see exactly the layer that contained the copper. This is what they look for. At the beginning, they had to dig it with a hammer. And you can see all the marks here. You see the hammer mark?
Sure.
Only hammer, because they didn't have any metal then.
Wow, that's incredible. So that's from the Chalcolithic period. That's already 4,000 BCE, nearly 6,000 years ago.
That's right.
Wow, incredible. And then what happened? They discovered...
It will take hundreds and hundreds of years till they will find that if they mix this copper with tin, they'll get the bronze. The bronze is a solid metal.
And this is the beginning of the Bronze Age.
And this is the beginning of Bronze period. And we're digging inside, and you can see the marks, chisel's marks.
Wow.
Now it's much faster.
So some of these chisel marks very well could have dated to the 10th century BCE, 3,000 years ago, right in the middle of the Bronze Age, during the period of King Solomon.
Yes, we're talking the time of the 10th century, 12th, 13th, 14th century BCE.
Wow, that's amazing. And so what was the cave system for? Like they had the tunnels, but here we're in this large cave.
Yeah, so one was digging inside and get the copper out, or copper ore out, and they put it in a room. It's kind of a junction here. You see there's more tunnels here, and just behind me there is another one.
It's like a dozen tunnels here.
And from here they will take the copper ore out, and then they will take it to the smelting site.
Right, so the smelting is where they'll melt the stone and get metal, copper.
Yes, and that will be done in a different place.
Great, can you explain the process?
Yes, of course, we will go out to watch it.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Wow, this is amazing here. We can actually still see it. So Ron, where would the smelting take place?
If you remember, David, we said that in order to get a copper metal, you need to burn it, smelt it, and we need to do it in a fire. It have to be in a hot temperature.
Okay.
So let's say you're sitting in a bonfire
Yeah.
and you were camping. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to have it in a windy area or no wind in the same time you have it outside?
I mean, generally speaking, I like it to be not so windy so I can control it.
That's right. But not so windy means the fire is not so hot.
That's correct. I have
And
to
if-
blow on it in order
That's
to
right.
get it started.
That's right. But then, in the ancient time, they look for the hills where the temperature, where the wind is very strong.
Uh-huh.
So the fire will be much hotter, so they can actually smelt the copper.
Amazing. So generally speaking, we'll be up there on the cliffs where it's much windier than in here in
That's
the
right.
canyon.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, that's great. And this would increase the fire, hotter temperatures,
Smelt the copper ore.
smelt the copper ore. Amazing. And what was the progression from having these fires on top of the hills?
Look, later on, it will take again hundreds of years of testing and checking, testing and fail.
Sure.
And then they discover that they can blow the air into a furnace. And that will be hundreds of years later.
Wow. And do we have that here in Timna?
Of course, David. If you want, I can take you there.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go. Wow, this place is beautiful.
Yeah.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
Okay, David, do you remember we saw the copper ore in the mines under the ground?
Yes.
And they took it in a basket, exactly as you can see here.
Okay. And they would just fill
And
these baskets
this
up
basket
with the
were
rocks.
full with the rocks, stones of copper ore. It's not a metal yet.
Okay.
To smelt the copper ore, you need to crush the copper ore to a powder.
This is amazing. So this is exactly like mortar and pestle.
That's
This
right.
is something that they would use to grind grain.
Exactly. And this is made of granite.
Wow, it's a hard stone. And where's this from? Is this local?
Yes, we have here in Timna, Granite Mountain.
Wow, beautiful.
And from here, after the copper ore was crushed
And literally into sand.
into a sand, it's a powder. And after hours of reheating the furnace by bellows,
Wow.
that's working really hard, two people, one in front of each other, blow oxygen into the furnace.
So this is reenacting what they had up on the high grounds, the natural wind, but now they can control it. It's nonstop, literally 4 bellows, nonstop air being pushed into
All
the
the time.
furnace. The fire's getting hotter and hotter on the inside.
Temperature is rising till it's hot enough, and then you can put the copper ore powder inside the furnace together with iron oxide, together with a powder of coal.
And the iron oxide's coming from all this red sandstone.
Red sandstone you see here, it's all red from iron
Wow.
oxide. Okay, and
It's amazing. Ancient man figured the combination of coal, the red sandstone, the greenstone, which was going to be the copper ore,
exactly.
all mixed in.
And David, here we're talking the 12th century BCE. I'm reminding you, we saw 4,000 years before. Okay, so it's thousands of years of development, thousands of years of
Wow.
testing and fail and testing again till they succeed and they reach to the knowledge that they can smelt copper in furnace.
So the
Okay.
copper would
The
sink to the
copper
bottom
sank-
because it's heavy.
Yes,
The sludge is up on top. The
That's right.
expert cracks open this furnace and all the sludge just pours out.
Yes.
And what you're left with is the copper inside.
exactly.
Incredible. And then from there,
And in the morning, or whenever the furnace was cooled down, they just smash this furnace and get this one. Okay?
okay.
And here we can see
Wow, this is incredible. So
A
these would have
copper
been
loaf
the copper loaves, and they would have sent this to Egypt. Because all of this is Egyptian.
That's right.
Amazing. And in Egypt,
And in Egypt, they re-smelt it, as you can see. And then they pour it into a pattern like the bars or the snake or anything they wanted.
incredible. And the bars, most likely, they would have sold
That's
or
right.
traded around the world with. You know, the Egyptians were pagans, and they must have built temples here to their false gods.
That's right. Nearly everywhere here in Timna, we find a temple or something remind of the goddess of Hathor. And actually, if you look over there, up on the left, there is the temple of Hathor.
Incredible. Can we go check it out?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Wow, thank you so much for everything that you taught us today. We really appreciate it, and thank you for bringing me here to Hathor's temple. Timna is a beautiful place.
Thank you very much, David. It was my pleasure.
Stay tuned as we explore the Temple of Hathor.
There are moments in life that define you and leave you forever transformed. Like a once-in-a-lifetime journey to the source of your faith. Walk in the steps of Jesus and experience history beyond its words. Sail the ancient Sea of Galilee to the holy shores of the River Jordan. Your journey begins here.
Wow, this is incredible to be walking within the Temple of Hathor that was built over 3,400 years ago, a place of paganism and idol worship, and it's complete with standing stones here, which was typical of pagan worship in those days. And over here we have a basin that most likely was used to collect the blood of the sacrificial animals that would have been slaughtered on the main platform, right in front of the central niche over here, where you would have had a statue of Hathor. This was used in the 14th century BCE, and it wouldn't be until 400 years later, during the reign of King Solomon, who would also build copper mines right here in Timna, and he would introduce to this entire area the idea of monotheism and the worship of one God. There are several ways of enjoying your trip here to Timna Park. Obviously, having your own tour guide or taking a Jeep tour is the best option. This way, you really get up and close to the formations, and you learn the stories and the history, and you get the personal attention that you deserve. But beyond this, there's several ways to enjoy it on your own. First of all, right at the entrance, there's a large visitor center with a multimedia presentation that gives you the history and geology of the entire park. There's also a small museum that shows you some of the tools that they used to mine the copper as far back as the Chalcolithic period. They also have some of the ruins that were discovered here, both from the Midianites as well as the Egyptians. In addition to this, if you're a thrill seeker, you can also go rappelling on some of the large cliffs that you see surrounding the Timna Valley. But that's not all. There is a plethora of hiking trails throughout the entire park. In fact, the Israel National Trail cuts right through the park. In addition to all of this, you can also rent a mountain bike. This is what I like to do the most, so come join me as we bike through Timna Park. In addition to the visitor center that they have at the entrance of the park, there's also another one at the other end called Solomon's Inn. Here, kids are greeted with an empty bottle that they can fill up with the various types of colored sand that's found here in Timna Park, as well as this impressive gift shop that sells custom-made jewelry designed by Israelis, as well as gifts from the land. There's also a fantastic restaurant, which I'm about to go to, so come join me. The restaurant features a fantastic menu of pizza and fresh salads, and Israeli cuisine here known as shakshuka, which is poached eggs in a tomato sauce. They also have couscous and vegetable soup and so much more. But if you don't want to bring your family to the restaurant, you can also bring your own food here, have a great picnic right by the lake, or if you want, you can even have a barbecue. It's an excellent way to refresh after a morning of touring here at Timna Park, and of course, continue touring in the afternoon. Join us next time on Land of the Bible as we explore Israel's premier center for art, culture, and history, located in Jerusalem, the Israel Museum. This has been just an awesome day, traveling through and learning all about the geology and archaeology here in Timna Park. Remember, I'm David Sussman, your personal tour guide here in the land of Israel. Make sure to join us next time as we connect you to the people, places, and lands of the Bible.